Hi, and welcome to yet another Thoughts on Leadership. This month the subject is good intentions but no action. As you know, I travel the world speaking, running workshops, facilitating sessions, doing a bit of consultancy, all around my research, which is into effective organizations and the people that lead them. And if you've ever been to one of my sessions, I will invariably start the session with, now I want you to take one thing out of today and go back and apply it, put it into place in your workplace or wherever it is you come from. And the reason I say that is because if you go back with a list of 5, 6, 7, 8 different things to do, you invariably do none of them. You know what it's like? You've seen it yourself, haven't you? Probably done it yourself. Somebody comes back, good intentions, nice list, puts it down, let's get on with that. And then about 6 months later, they find it. And so I always encourage people to find one thing and actually act on it. I always say that if you spend a day of your life with me and then go back and do nothing with that day, then it was a wasted day of your life. This week I was with a wonderful gentleman by the name of John Timpson. He's a great businessman. He's based in Manchester, United Kingdom. He has about 560 retail outlets throughout the UK. And it was a great pleasure to meet such a forward-thinking, imaginative businessman. And because of what he does, he gets a lot of people asking him to come along and speak at conferences in a similar way as I do. And anyway, we spent an hour or so together talking through his business and me interviewing him. And at the end of it, we were having a little bit of a chat. And he said something to me. He said, is depressing is all of these ideas that we talk about. He says people listen to me. He says they come up to me afterwards, say, yeah, great, you know, that was wonderful. Then they go back and behind closed doors, they shut the boardroom door, the office door, or whatever it is, and they change nothing. Yeah, just do nothing with what they've learned. And I got to thinking about that, and I thought, well, that's going to be my thoughts on leadership for this month. Good intentions, no action. Are you somebody who falls into that trap? Do you find that you're the person who sets out with some really good intentions going, I'm going to do this, and then ends up not doing it? And you look back at it at some stage and say, what happened? You know, what went wrong? So I suppose to start with, we should say, well, why do we behave like this? What is the obstacles that get in the way of us actually following through on our good intentions? And there's probably a number of reasons for them. The most common ones would be probably the list too long. It looks too daunting. Don't know which one to start with. Yeah, just something like that, which psychologically gets in the way of you moving forward. Some people just lose the list, of course. Some people don't know how. You know, they look at the list and they go, yeah, okay, but how am I going to do this? Other people don't know how then to explain it to their team. You know, they've actually attended the workshop, or they've attended the session or the speech. And now they think, well, how do I express everything that was expressed to me to my team? So that gets in the way of them doing it. Some people just believe that their industry is different. Oh, well, yeah, all that stuff is good stuff, but it probably wouldn't work for me in my industry. You know, you think of John Timpson, you know, he's in the retail business, probably somebody in a factory or manufacturing business or something like that would go, yeah, good ideas, but probably wouldn't work for me. So our own belief system of those type of beliefs would possibly be getting in the way as well. Whatever it is, and whatever the reasons are, how do we overcome them? What do we need to do? And how can you move yourself from good intentions into putting those intentions into action? In other words, achieving something as a result. Well, I think the first is to acknowledge that that's one of your issues. That's one of the things that and it's common. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel, you know, it's just me. You know, it's very common. A lot of people struggle with it. My greatest suggestion is to plan. For instance, if you're going to a workshop, do you sit down and think, well, what do I want to get out of this workshop? Or do you just go thinking, well, just give me stuff? And that in itself, the lack of planning in terms of what you want to get out of it, will often get in your way as well. So what do we do? Plan, yes, we can plan. We can think through what we want from the session. But what happens when we've actually got our list? We've got those few things. For a start, as I said earlier on, don't make too big a list so it's not too daunting. But if you do make a list of 3, 4, 5 things, what do you do about sitting down with a list and say, which one of these is most important? Which is the one that I should focus on first? Okay, and then now it doesn't look like a long list of things. There's one in it that's your focus one. When you've done that one, you'll move on to the others. Okay, so prioritizing the list that you have made of actions, maybe one. Delegating some of them. Just get the point and select somebody who you think can be the champion of this. Many of the speakers and conferences these days provide the session in an audio format for you to buy later. There is no reason why you if that's the case, can't buy the session. Choose out the person. I want John to be able to champion this. Get John, give him the audio, and say, listen to this. This is the one I want you to champion. So delegating some of it can be quite a good step to take as well. Of course, one of the greatest issues that gets in people's way is you just can't be bothered. You lose motivation. And that's a personal issue to you, of course, but my suggestion with that is the sooner you deal with it. I mean, yes, I know when you come back from your workshop or session, there's a pile of things to get on with, but the sooner you actually decide which is the important one, which one am I going to deal with, who am I going to delegate to what, the quicker you do that, the more likely that you will be able to follow through and accomplish something with it. Be careful not to fall in that zone that so many people, where you take your list and you put it in your briefcase, or in some people's cases their wallet, and they just take it backwards and forwards with them everywhere they're going. You have amazing how many lists there are that are the most well-traveled documents in this world, and then never get used. So here's the questions I want to ask you for this month. Questions just to stop and make you think, because I've talked about this in terms of business at the moment, but I'd like you to also understand that it applies in your personal life. In fact, some people can be extremely good in one and be absolutely lousy in the other. So it can happen in your own personal life. You have good intentions. I'm going to go and see my parents. I'm going to spend some time with my kids. I'm going to read that book, whatever it is. And you just don't follow through on it. And it just stays in the intention zone, if you like, where it's nice and comfortable and never has to get called on. So, my questions are, have you got the habit? Basically, it is a habit if you think about it. Not following through is a habit that you get. And have you got the habit? Are you somebody who's in that zone where they just habitually don't do that? Are you going to sessions and finding that you've created lists and not acting on them? Can you look back at sessions you've been to which you have not got value for money from because you never applied? In other words, you spent money or somebody spent money on them. You're back now, you've never used that information, and basically the money was wasted. It was a waste of money and of course of your time. You come across notes later that you go, oh yes, oh that was a great session, or oh that was great, I was going to do that, and then find you haven't done it. What are you going to do now to follow through? What positive action are you now going to take? What commitment are you going to make now to yourself, right here and now, as we speak, that says, I am going to follow through on intentions in the future? I am going to take action to resolve this. Have you got that mindset? Are you prepared to adopt that mindset? Are you prepared to make that commitment? Are you going to plan for sessions in the future? How are you going to plan for those sessions? What are you going to do in terms of planning for those sessions so as to make them more worthwhile and more value for money for you? How are you going to involve people in your ideas? In other words, coming back from the sessions, what are you planning to do immediately? Not when you get round to it, but as an immediate action. In other words, you've spent a day on this workshop, you've come back into work this morning. What's the first thing you're going to do that just gets the ball rolling? And then after that, there hopefully will be some momentum which can be carried through. Okay? Have you thought that through? Have you decided that? Because if you don't think about that before you arrive in the office, I guarantee you what will happen is there's something that will snatch your time from you, your attention from you, and divert you away, and that list will just get left on the side there. So you need to be going to the office saying, the first thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to take this and delegate that and action that. Okay? And that makes the ball start rolling, if you like. So, good intentions, no actions. We're all prone to it. It happens to all of us. It's easy one to slip into, and we need to be constantly working at it. I hope that drawing it to your attention, making you stop and think about it, and asking you a few questions to make you consider how you can become somebody who doesn't get lost in the intention zone, but rather follows through into action. I hope that that's helped you in some way. Once again, thank you for all the emails I get and the notes I get from people and the questions that I get asked. We're doing some stuff on the website which is going to give additional material for people if they're interested. We're going to provide a place where you can ask me questions and I can answer everybody, not just the individual who writes it. So we're going to be providing all those things over the course of this year, and to just give you added benefit. Have a great month wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and thanks as always for tuning in. All the best now.